This is the interview with the two Riordain brothers, Mick and Liam. Okay.
Has anything changed since when you were a child? If so, what?
Yes, the main thing is I suppose we had no cars when we were growing up. And everybody has a car now.
I suppose we had no electricity. I remember I was nearly your age when we first saw electricity. We had no television, and the radios worked by batteries. And we had to, the battery really lasted so long, and we had to put the battery into and recharge in Evans to Prairie. And that was a day's work in itself, because the horse had to be tackled and the cart put on and drive to Prairie with the two batteries. The batteries were about a foot high and 6 inches square, I suppose. And
they were liquid.
Liquid, yeah. I mean, liquid. There were acid batteries. Like.
What did you learn in school?
What do you mean? What did we learn in school now?
Subjects.
What
Okay.
subjects?
That you learned now that we...
Mick,
Well, the first thing I suppose I learned was to write with my right hand, because I was left-handed and I wasn't allowed to write with my left hand.
Okay.
And the teacher was Miss McMahon. He used to remind me every morning by giving me 6 slaps of the blackthorn stick across the left hand, so as I wouldn't write with the left hand.
Right.
Just haven't changed really.
We had to learn Latin when we were going to school, because Mass was in Latin that time, and if you were serving Mass, there was always this big long prayer at the end of it called the De Profundis, and it took about 10 minutes to recite, but you had to have it off by half before you could serve Mass. So that was one of the part of the curriculum which isn't there today in primary school.
Yeah.
And I don't know, do you do algebra, which was a big subject in maths that time, like, you know,
Yeah.
you had to do algebra from about 3rd or 4th class on, like.
Of course, Irish was different as well. Then all the characters changed in Irish in the late 50s. It was almost like writing in Greek when we started off in national school.
You had the Bulta.
Yeah.
Instead of that was replaced by TH. The Bulta was put over the letter to emphasise the accent of the letter, you know.
Oh yeah.
So now you have TH.
So V in Irish was B Bulta I Fada instead of BH I Fada.
Houses changed on the inside and on the outside, and how?
Of course they have. First of all, you had no televisions then. You had no PlayStations in the hall.
Oh yeah.
So you didn't have to. You didn't have to all that fun, and of course, as Liam said, you had in the early days you had no electricity as well. So you had the tilly lamp, which had to be primed at night, and you pumped it, and then you lit it. Okay, that was the only light. Or when you were going to the bedroom, then you had candles.
Yeah.
But as he said, that changed when we were quite small. You had no central heating because it wasn't available. The whole principle of central heating hadn't taken off.
I can remember back to my youngest days, even in farmhouses at that time were mostly clay floors in them. And the most treasured animal around the farm was the sow, and she usually kept the family going. Like when she'd produce her litter of bonnets, she was brought in alongside the fire to have her farrow, as they call it, to have her litter of bonnets. And she'd be brought in and she'd lie down alongside the fire, and that's how they watched her, because they had, of necessity, they couldn't afford to lose any pigs, like so. The pigs were born inside. They wouldn't put out into the outer house until they were 3 or 4 days old. But the floor would be just re-earthed. Then, like, the pigs are very clean animals, in spite of what people think. Like, the sow would walk out and do her business outside, like, and she'd come back in again to lie down with her banners inside the kitchen.
Yeah.
Well, the others, I suppose, it was nothing common to have a care for a sick lamb or anything brought into the fire that time. Like, you know, they the thing that kept people alive. Like they had to mind their animals. Like they were treasured for they were the only wealth they had. Like.
And the other thing, it was just it was different then. There was no money around either. Like, just wouldn't have.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get pocket money going to school. You know.
Has that changed in the village?
In Lisvernane village as such, well, of course, you have street lighting there, which you didn't have then. Other than that, one of the pubs is closed.
Which pub was that?
Riordain's. Across from the old school, across from the community centre now. And of course, the new school wasn't there until the 1970s. The church was there, right? But other than that, there wasn't. And Moroney's was there. And there was a post office down below Moroney's then in Griffin's, which was also a shop. So all those things have changed.
The village was a lot smaller at that time in the sense that there was fewer houses in it. The street wasn't near as wide as it is today. Like, and when you come out from the church, there was a big oak tree growing up to the church, and it was a favourite meeting place for people when they came out for mess on a Sunday. They'd go in under the oak tree and have a chat there. Like, there was very few cars on the road then. Like, I remember the first or second car that came to Lisvernane village. That time, the only thing you had problem parking was your horse and cart or your horse and trap, and all the families had different places for hitching their horses along the road. Some of them would be up at Canfill's Boreen, and more would be they'd be tethered in the fords, and more would be tethered in Miss Fox's yard, and there'd be more of them tethered down in Callahan's.
And down to Boreen.
And more of them down the Boreen, and they'd all be tethered up there, and they'd have a rug over their flanks when they were gone into mess. Like, and I remember the boys then when they'd come out from mess, they'd come out a bit early, maybe they might wait for the final prayer or something, and they'd come out and set up skittles down the road in front of Mike Sullivan's or English's. Skittles was a game played very, very commonly that time. Like.
It's a bit like bowls.
But that'll tell you how little traffic was on the road there. They'd wait for the few horses and traps to go away, like, and they could give 2 or 3 hours playing skittles on the road then, like, and they never have to move because there was no traffic, like, you know.
Yeah.
The other thing, Clean, as well, like when you had elections, politicians would come and stand by that oak tree on a box and give their talk to the community as people were coming out from mess afterwards.
You know how you remember the election that time, like the TDs would come and there'd be a big booze up in the pub, like they'd get all the boys well boozed and win. That time you could buy a lot of drink for £3 or £4. You could get everyone drunk in the place, like, and that was the common occurrence that time. Like when they'd be coming around looking for your vote, they'd bring you to the pub and.
Then you were a great man, you should give him a pint.
Even the great man will have to give him a vote the next time now, like, because he'd wait till we have to.
Right. Has the land changed in any way? If so, how?
When you mean the land, agricultural land and stuff like that, farms and...
Yeah.
So I suppose the big change in farms would be that so many people gone out of milk now that we're milking cows, and it has changed a lot. It was all mixed farms when we were growing up. Everybody had some cows, and they'd have a couple of pigs, and they'd have grain as well, like, and turnips. There was no such thing as feeding meal much to animals in those days.
Yeah, and there wasn't as much stock around, like the land wasn't as overstocked, like, and I'd say people were more in tune with nature, like, you know, the land today, like, is managed, I suppose you could say better, like, as it's producing more, like, but I often wonder is it
too much fertilizer.
Too much fertilizer gone out and too much slurry and things. If you go out in most fields now, like, and dig up beside, you'll see no earthworms. The earthworms are dead extinct, like, because of the toxicity of what's gone out to grow grass, like. I suppose another aspect of it is it changed a lot back in the 70s with the amalgamation of the smaller creameries into bigger cooperative societies. Like, it was a great social function that time, like, to go to the creamery. It was almost an institution, like, where people met every morning, and you'd linger around for a while and see who'd come on, and you'd have a chat, you'd get all the news of the locality, like, and It was always a thing when you'd come home. There was such a thing as the factory tea, it was called. When you'd come home from the creamery, like the kettle would be on. You'd have to relay all the stories of the day, like and what happened from day to day, like or who died and who was ill and who was after having a baby, and all this was part of the network and the community that time, like
Because you're no local radio, and you'd only one radio channel, don't you? Well, even in the times after we got electricity, but as well.
But there was no radio. There was no all-day radio either. It was only on for a couple of hours in the day. Like it started in the morning, maybe at 8 o'clock, it was closed down at 12 o'clock. It would open up again. We get at 5 o'clock in the evening. Like and
the other thing as well, like we would remember. I would easily remember people ploughing the fields down there with 2 horses. Okay? The only tractor we would normally see would be Joe West when he'd come to do the corn in the autumn.
There was a great gathering there that time then for the harvest, like when you'd have the thrashing, as it was called. You'd have a mehel of men coming on, and there'd be a big, another big social occasion. There'd be maybe a keg of porter and plenty of grub, and I can still remember the smell of fresh apple tarts and fine dinners and a break for tea. It was a kind of a party. It was a big occasion, like the harvest was in and you were getting your corn. And the corn then, which was all harvested, there was storage over in Bellacorty there's a restaurant there now today, and part of the restaurant. We stored the grain over there in the lofts, like, and when we went the winter time, then we'd go over and fill our bags and we'd bring it down to Maroney's. Maroney's was a kind of a general purpose meal. It was everything. It was their local hardware, it was groceries that you could get from a needle to an anchor in Maroney's that time, like. And you brought your grain down there to be ground and then or rolled and whatever you wanted, like, and brought it home then and fed it to your animals over the winter, like, you know.
There
was a lot more cooperation amongst farmers that time, like, you know, everyone would help one another out, like.
Okay.
Farming is a very lonely existence today, like, because there's only one person at every farm, like, and they're so busy working themselves, they don't have time to do anything for anybody else, like, you know.
What sort of transport did you use?
The car or the horse and cart?
But as I said, there was no cars much around that time. There was about 3 or 4 cars in the Glen. And so if you wanted to go anywhere, like
if you wanted to go far,
Shanks Bears was called, to walk to town anyway. You would walk to town, right, take up the horse and go to town. I remember the first trip to town in the Horse of Gart. I fell asleep going up the hill, and early walk going into town somewhere. And the next time I went to town, I couldn't make out how it was taking so long, like, because the last time I went, I was knowing, I thought, like, because
you were sleeping.
I was after sleeping once way to town, like, you know.
So if you were going far away, then you might hire a hackney car, which would be Maroney's would have a car, and
Tommy Hogan
would be driving it and be going with him. But for Tipperary or anywhere like that now, you wouldn't.
Has Arlo changed in much way? Like, has it changed much? In general?
Oh, it would have, yeah.
Population.
First of all, we've got much older, but population-wise, it's probably increased, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Like there are a lot more houses around the place now than when we
more
were.
centralised, you see, like the population was more sprawling that time, like, it's, you had houses going all the way out to the mountain, like, so with the biggest families in the Glen were Riordain, before they got to more, the O'Briens, like, the oldest family of them there was 21 in the family, like, and the eldest of them were gone to America. They never knew the youngest, like, you know. Some went and never came back, like, you know. Nowadays they're more centralised. You have a lot more people living in the village, like, and it seems to be a planning kind of thing now, like, the housing is more centralised for services, for lighting and heat and sewerage and water facilities. But also, I suppose, another big difference that in every house that time, the door was always open. You could walk into any house, like, and you didn't knock or anything, just walk in and sit down, and you could have a cup of tea and so on.
Another main change, of course, was when piped water came. Before piped water, which would have come when I was about 10 or 11, I suppose, you'd have to go to the well to bring water, or you'd have to rely on rainwater from the shoots. And pipe water then came from the
Well, rainwater was a precious thing that time for washing. The women used to love the rainwater because it was so soft. Like the well water was hard. There was a lot of lime in the well water, like, and clothes would come out as near as soft. So that's another thing you notice today. Like what falls in the sky, the water in the sky is that more polluted. And trust me, we're young kids. If you left water stand for any water that falls from the sky or anything, there'd be a fungi on it in about 3 days. It turned green like.
Yeah.
That time if water was so pure that it stayed there indefinitely, it would never turn. You'd never get this green fungi growing.
and of course another thing we all you'd never see a jet plane because they weren't there.
No.
Okay.
So, what way would you get your water mostly like? Do you know, for drinking?
Drinking you put to the well, which we Sullivan's well or
There was two wells. There was Brennan's well and Sullivan's well. Sullivan's was down below the village, and if you wanted any volume of water, you'd go there because we'd go to Hospital Cap and fill the churns. Brennan's well was nice and water, I suppose, but you'd go there with a couple of buckets and
organics.
Yeah.
When television came then, we still used to go to Sullivan's well, so we got into Maroney's on the way back and watch television on one of the first televisions that became.
Yeah, and you carried it in barrels.
Well, you carried it in gallons, buckets, wherever way you would. Mostly in gallons when you go to Sullivan's well.
Right. That's all our questions. Thanks, Liam and Mick.
And thank you, Michal, and thank you,
Cleaner.
Stand up, I see it.